Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to today's educational mini webinar, part of our 30-minute SMB thought leadership session. Before we start, please note that the Q&A section is open on the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions, please type it in and we will respond from there. And please do not use the raise hand feature. My name is Latifa, and I am excited that you are here today because today's topic affects many SMBs across California and nationwide, often without leadership realizing it. We know that more and more staff are using AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, DeepSeek, and sometimes they unintentionally paste donor information or even internal organizational data into those tools. And that simple behavior is exactly what we are here to talk about today.
Exactly. And our goal today for this session is not to create concern, but to create clarity. Clarity on how this data actually moves once it's entered into an AI tool, where a lot of small and medium businesses lose visibility, and what leaders can do today to protect their company data, their finance data, their client data, their donor data, as AI becomes part of everyday work. Actually, as we do that, let me share my screen so we can get started here.
All
There
right.
we go.
Thanks, Kayvon. Before we go any further, we want to do a quick introduction and introduce ourselves. I am Latifa, and I work directly with SMB teams every day, helping them adopt technology in a way that reduces friction and actually supports their operations.
And I'm Kayvon Yazdi. I oversee technology, strategy, cybersecurity, compliance, and now responsible AI adoption for SMBs that we serve. What we're going to be sharing today comes from working closely with a number of small and medium businesses every day, by learning from national peer groups that we belong to, and by observing the same risks repeatedly across hundreds of organizations.
Before we go any deeper, Kayvon, can you share a little bit about who we are and why this topic matters so much to the SMBs we serve?
Absolutely. We are a Bay Area-based SOC 2 certified managed IT provider. We work with organizations across the Bay Area, across California, and sometimes national SMBs that have teams, and the teams are spread across multiple states. Our mission is to deliver secure, strategic, white glove IT, especially for small and medium businesses that rely on security and compliance, and the SMBs that are required to manage data responsibly. I know AI has been introducing new risks that traditional IT really cannot. It doesn't have an answer for it. The traditional IT approaches are not really prepared for. That's what we've been observing, and that's why we're passionate about this topic.
Absolutely. Kayvon, for those joining us for the first time today, can you maybe explain what these 30-minute thought leadership sessions are all about?
Of course, these 30-minute thought leadership sessions are a rapid focus format built primarily for SMB leaders. Instead of long technical webinars, we're going to zero in on one of the critical topics and give you practical and actionable insights in 30 minutes or less. Hopefully, sometimes, that's the goal, hopefully less than 30 minutes. Sometimes we might go over it for 5 minutes. I have a feeling we might be about 35 minutes today. These topics and contents come directly from real small and medium challenges, small and medium business challenges that we see across our clients. We also belong to multiple IT peer groups nationally. We exchange ideas with them, and this is where hundreds of managed service providers share trends, risk, and best practices, and we bring it here to these webinars. So the goal for this short session is to give SMBs early visibility into issues that many IT providers have not even started addressing yet.
Yes, and these sessions are very popular and SMBs would get great value out of them. All right. If today's session resonates with you, these upcoming SMB thought leadership sessions may be a great next step for you. Each one would focus on the real challenges SMB leaders bring to us every day. Another question for you, Kayvon. Maybe you can share a bit about what's coming up next, why these topics tend to resonate so strongly with SMB leaders.
Sure. So our upcoming sessions are going to be again about AI and going to cover practical low-cost ways that small and medium businesses can use AI immediately today without requiring major investment or high cost. We're also going to have a cybersecurity essentials. It's a session that is going to be focused on the 5 biggest risks that SMBs are expected to face in 2026. And then we're going to have cloud done right, one of my own favorite topics, which has been one of the most well-attended sessions and topics that we've done because a lot of SMBs want modernization and cost savings without disruption. And finally, we're going to have another session on IT budgeting, which is going to help SMBs plan smarter, reduce surprises, and avoid overspending in 2026, which I'm sure a lot of team leaders, team leaders, CFOs, board members, and finance teams would like and value it.
Absolutely. All right, before we dive into the details, here are 3 simple questions we want you to consider. These questions alone would reveal more than most leaders realize. I'm going to read these questions very quickly for the gallery. Question 1, do you know which AI tools your staff are using today? Question 2, do you know where your organizational data goes when pasted into AI prompts? And question 3, do you know whether AI use in your organization is creating compliance or legal risk? So as you're reading and thinking through these questions, Kayvon, if they find themselves hesitating even a little, what does that usually tell us?
Yeah, exactly. If you found yourself unsure of the answers or even hesitating for a moment, that hesitation is exactly where the company's risk lives. AI is already inside your organization, whether intentionally adopted or not, it's already there. Staff use it because it's fast, it's helpful, but leadership visibility almost always lags behind. That's what we've seen. So for SMBs, where security and compliance and data integrity matters so much, the gap becomes a real exposure. I'm going to pause here for a moment and give everyone a chance to really look at these questions. Take a second to think through them. And if it helps, feel free to jot down a few quick notes or initial answers for yourself. We just want to get your kind of mind going with some of these questions. All
All
right.
right. We'll make this a little bit more interactive now. So before we go any further, we would love to get a quick pulse from everyone here. We are going to launch a very short anonymous poll. This is not a test. There's no right or wrong answer. It is simply to understand where most SMBs are today. You should see the poll link in the chat, or you can simply scan the QR code on this slide. It takes about 5 seconds, so go ahead and select the option that best reflects how AI tools are currently being used in your business. All right, let's give this maybe another 30 seconds. And Kayvon, can you kindly paste a screenshot of the responses in the next slide in the next 30 seconds or so?
Yeah, give me 10 seconds here.
All right.
I think we are good.
Awesome.
I'm going to go ahead and share the results. There you go. Oh, wow. Okay, interesting.
Nice. All right, we got 19 responses. That's great.
Got that. Yep. As you can see, 47% of the respondents, if I'm reading it right, yeah, 47 are the people that use AI tools freely with no formal guidelines. Okay. This is so we ran this in our first webinar. By the way, this webinar is it's been popular. This is the second time we're running this webinar uh, due to the great feedback that we got. We kind of ran the same poll in the first one, and it's interesting. We kind of got the same numbers. I remember the numbers were actually close. I remember the first line, 47%, and then the second line with 5 responses, 26%. We allow AI use, but with no formal or uh, with informal or unwritten expectation. So as you can see, these are I just want to go over the top 2, and that's why a webinar like this matters. So Thank you for everyone who participated in the poll. All right.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. One of the biggest risks that we are seeing with AI inside SMBs right now is not malicious use. It is the awareness gap between what leaders think is happening and what is actually happening day to day. When we look at the data, roughly 71% of employees report using AI without formal approval, while about 63% of leaders believe their staff are not using AI at all. I do want to pause here for a moment on these numbers. They are not meant to be treated as an exact or permanent. AI usage is changing quickly, and these figures shift as tools evolve, so please take it with a grain of salt. These numbers are based on a mix of industry research, internal polling that we have done with our own SMB clients, as well as conversations and data shared through national IT peer groups we work with across the country. What matters most is not the precise percentage. What matters is the gap itself. Even a small disconnect between leadership visibility and employee behavior creates risk, especially when data is involved. And in SMB environments where security and confidentiality are so important, that gap can exist quietly for a long time before anyone realizes it. So, Kayvon, when you see this kind of gap between belief and reality, what does that usually mean for SMBs from a risk and visibility standpoint?
That's a great point and a great question. So the gap is where the risk lives. Most employees are already using AI tools. And when you look at small and medium businesses, the staff are already using it. They're using it in small, practical ways. They're drafting emails, they're summarizing notes, they're rewriting documents. They're not trying to bypass policy. They're just trying to work more efficiently. But leadership and IT teams often they do not have visibility into the activities that they do. And because most IT providers are not actively monitoring AI domain usage, the behavior stays invisible. So the risk is not just AI itself. The risk is that decisions are being made and data is being shared without governance, without guidance, and without leadership even knowing it's happening. So, as you think about your own organization, ask yourself how confident are you that you, as a leader or an executive, and even the IT team, have the same view of how AI is being used today, day by day, in the daily activities of your staff? That's a really, really good question to ponder. Um,
That really is a great question. Thank you, Kayvon. So now we want to introduce a term that comes up in almost every conversation that we have with SMB leaders right now, and that is shadow AI. When we talk about shadow AI, we're not talking about bad behavior or people trying to bypass IT. In most cases, actually, staff are simply trying to do their job more efficiently. They are using AI tools to draft emails, summarize notes, or simply rewrite documents or brainstorm ideas. The challenge is that this usage is often happening quietly, without approval, without guidance, and without leadership or IT teams having visibility into what tools are being used or what data is being shared. So, Kayvon, when SMBs hear the term shadow AI for the first time, how do you usually explain what it really means and why it matters?
that's another great question. Shadow AI is usage of AI that exists inside your organization without visibility, governance, approval, and policy. Try to repeat that 10 more times. We actually call it VGAP. And I always put a lower V and it, GAP, all big one, uppercase. Visibility, governance, approval, policy. That's kind of my fun way of remembering it. And somehow we get the word gap in it. And here, truly, kind of pun intended here, it is truly a gap. So shadow AI looks very ordinary on the surface. A staff member pastes some donor notes or your financial data or client information or patient information, let's say like a medical practice, into ChatGPT to clean up a message. Someone drops internal program data on an AI tool to summarize a report. None of this feels risky at the moment when they do that. But once the data enters an AI platform, the organization loses control. Many AI tools retain prompts and inputs because they want to improve and retain their models. They want to train the models. They want to improve the models. That means the data cannot be retrieved, audited, or fully erased. And because most of the organizations, they don't have a clear AI policy, or they don't have any monitoring in place yet, the leadership and IT teams often have no idea this is happening until a risk shows up later. Sometimes through a compliance review, sometimes some insurance questions that come up, maybe a security incident.
Mhm.
So as you're listening to this, it's worth asking yourself, where might AI already be helping your team quietly, and where might it be creating risk without anyone realizing it?
Yeah. A lot of SMB leaders are already familiar with the idea of shadow IT. Over the years, we have all dealt with situations where staff used unapproved tools like Dropbox, Slack, or even personal Google Drive accounts just to get work done. And in most cases, shadow IT was frustrating, right? It created extra work for IT teams, sometimes causing security gaps, but it was usually something we could eventually see and fix. What we are starting to see now with shadow AI feels similar at first, but it behaves very differently once you look a little bit closer. So, Kayvon, a question for you here is, when we compare shadow IT to shadow AI, what really makes shadow AI harder and riskier for SMBs to manage?
Yeah, that's a great question again. Shadow IT was inconvenient, but for the most part, it was manageable. When files were in the wrong place, IT could usually track it down, move them, and bring them back under control. That was shadow IT. I've dealt with that a lot myself. Shadow AI is different. When someone pastes data into an AI tool, it doesn't just sit in the wrong system. It can actually become part of a model's memory. And at that point, you cannot really pull it back anymore. You cannot delete it. You cannot undelete it. You cannot audit where it goes. And because AI tools feel kind of casual and helpful, a lot of companies don't even have a policy for it yet. People do not always stop to think about sensitivity of what they might be sharing. A few lines of donor history, medical data, internal notes can get exposed very quickly. So as you're listening to this, it's worth pausing and asking whether your organization treats AI tools with the same level of care and oversight as other systems that sometimes we do that already handle sensitive data, sensitive patient data, donor data, or organizational data. I just right now it just comes to my mind EMR and EHR. The way we deal with those things is very, very careful. I don't think we put in the same level of care or even one third of it into the AI tools that we use today.
Mhm. That is 100% accurate. All right, let's talk about why this is especially important for SMBs. What is really at stake here? Kayvon, when you look at this through an SMB lens, where do you usually see the biggest impact?
What's really at stake is trust, customer trust, partner trust, internal team trust. A lot of small and mid-sized businesses, they depend heavily on confidentiality and data integrity. If customer records, financial details, intellectual property, or sensitive employee information end up on an AI tool that is unapproved or unregulated, the consequences can be very real. We're also starting to see cyber insurance providers introducing AI related exclusions. If data is exposed to unapproved AI use, claims can actually be denied. And you heard that right. Actually, we've seen claims being denied because there was a usage of AI. And finally, leadership teams are being held more accountable for digital oversight. When AI is being used without governance, it can put owners and executives in a very difficult position. If you think about this, consider actually this is a question for the attendees. Consider who would be responsible for explaining an AI related incident if that happened today in your organization. Would it be the CEO? Is it the owner? your IT provider? Is that your HR or compliance lead or manager, or an internal leadership committee? Maybe you have a committee. So these are some of the things that we ask our clients to gradually start thinking about and create policies and accountability.
That's great food for thought. Thank you, Kayvon. One of the biggest questions that we hear from SMB leaders is, where does the data actually go when a staff member pastes information into a tool like ChatGPT or DeepSeek? Kayvon, let me ask you this. When people are using these tools day to day, what really happens to that data once it leaves their screen?
That's the right question to ask. And the honest answer is it depends on the tool. And in many cases, leaders don't really have full visibility what tools are being used. When a staff member in your organization enters financial data, customer information, or organizational data into an AI prompt, that information is processed by the AI platform. Depending on the provider and how the account is configured, those inputs might be stored in, they might be stored, reviewed, received, and retained to improve and train models, as I discussed earlier. In some cases, the data stays within the vendor's environment. In other cases, especially with free and consumer AI tools, it might be processed and stored in regions outside of the United States under different privacy laws.
Mm-hmm.
Let me actually give you an example. Some AI tools, like certain configurations of Microsoft Copilot, can be set up so your data stays within your organization's environment. Other tools, especially public or AI, they're public or consumer AI tools that we have, they may process data in shared systems, shared memory, where retention and training are outside of your control. The challenge right now we see is that many small and medium businesses are using a mix of both. And leadership most of the time doesn't even know which tools are being used, which tools keep data internal, and which ones send it beyond the organization. Um, and just to level set here, this distinction between internal AI tools and public AI tools is a topic in itself, and it could easily be a full webinar on its own. We might do it later. For today, we just want to give you the high-level context so you can understand why visibility and configuration matter. And I know that we cannot fully unpack today, hopefully in future sessions, but that would be one of the things hopefully we'll do in the future.
Absolutely. All right, now it's time for a little story. To highlight how real this risk is, we have a story that was shared with us by one of our IT peers on the East Coast. This unfortunately happened to one of their nonprofit clients, and they shared it during a national peer group meeting.
Right. This is the story of a nonprofit. This nonprofit had a staff member who used an AI tool to clean up donor communication drafts. Very normal, very well-intentional, but without realizing that they were pasting donor history, pledging information, and other internal notes into an unregulated AI platform. So the staff member assumed the data was private, but the AI tool retained the inputs to train its model. It's actually publicly stated when you read the policy of that tool. A few months later, they were doing a completely separate cybersecurity review, and their cyber insurance provider asked whether any donor or constituent data has been entered into an unapproved system. The nonprofit, being honest, they're always honest, disclosed the AI usage, and it didn't realize that it might have some implications. As soon as the insurance company heard that the sensitive data was placed into it was a tool that was outside the organization's approved systems, and there was no policy in place, they actually denied a portion of their claim. So this was not carelessness. It was simply a lack of AI governance. And our peers across the country are seeing more and more SMBs falling into the same exact pattern. And I want to make sure I told Latifa, I want to make sure we share this story today on the webinar.
Yes, that's a very unfortunate situation, but also an eye-opening for everybody. All right, Kayvon, what are the tools that SMBs are using the most and appearing in shadow AI audits?
It's a consistent mix of ChatGPT, Copilot, DeepSeek, Claude, Gemini, and Perplexity. We also see some a number of small browser extensions like micro AI tools and free websites that staff are using for quick tasks. So again, most IT providers are not scanning for AI domain activity today. If you're not monitoring it, you don't know what is being used. Even
Mhm.
for us, it's been really, really challenging at times. I'll be honest here, we are really at the infant stages of putting together a solid framework for AI audit, and that's the reality, even within our own organization.
Yeah. So once SMBs realize that AI is already being used inside their organization, the next question that comes to mind, and we usually also hear, is how do we actually see what is going on? Kevin, where should SMBs realistically start if they want to have visibility over shadow AI?
Another great question. Thank you. Um, First and foremost, you need to start with your IT provider. And I want to be very honest here. This is an evolving area for everyone, including us. Every IT provider has a different level of visibility based on the tools they use, the security controls they have in place, and how mature their operations are. Some providers have advanced security and compliance tooling that kind of gives them much deeper insight. Others simply do not. If you have a strong IT team or a provider with a higher operational maturity level, OML, you might have heard of it, they should be able to either show you an existing framework or quickly build one so they can start identifying whether AI tools are being accessed and how they're being used. And just to be transparent, even for us as a very security focused and compliance focused IT provider in the Bay Area, we're still in the early stages of refining this. We're still testing, validating, and improving our approach constantly. The difference is that we do have visibility, and we are actively helping our SMB clients navigate this. From there, detection really comes down to visibility across a few key areas. That includes your DNS logs. Now I'm going to get into some IT words here. Your DNS logs and DNS filtering, something like Cisco Umbrella or DNS filter. Some of it you might have heard before. It's okay if you haven't. These are just some key words from IT. These tools are going to help you show which AI domains are being accessed. Also, there's some browser activity insights and patterns that would help you with AI usage and what's being used. Identity provider audits through platforms like Okta, Azure Entra, and Google. That those can also reveal AI-related signings and permissions. Another great one is password manager. That's a lot of people actually don't use that, but actually they are great insight providers. Uh, if you have a password manager and if it's managed through your IT, you something like Bitwarden, you might have heard of it. It allows you to create intelligent reports on what apps and site credentials are engaged, but also they help you with AI related. How many of those sites are AI related or not? Great reports. Again, none of these on their own give you a full picture, but together they form the foundation of an AI risk and usage.
That was very insightful. Thank you, Kevin. Another question that comes to mind here is once organizations recognize AI is already in their environment, what is the next step?
Um, well, the next step is an AI risk and usage audit. This is really about getting visibility, understanding which AI tools are being used, how often, and where data might be flowing. To make this easier, we're actually offering a checklist that helps SMBs put the audit together. It's going to walk you through what to look for, what questions to ask your current IT provider, and how to start building a clear picture of AI usage inside your organization. I definitely recommend checking that out. Alongside that audit, we strongly recommend forming an AI steering committee. This
Mhm.
does not have to be an executive only group. In fact, a lot of times it often works better if it's not only executives. You want your IT provider involved? Absolutely. You want someone from your operations, a few staff members who are already interested in and they're kind of actively using AI, they would be great members. This is often underestimated, but especially with newer generation, there are people inside the organization today that who are already using AI and they have great insight into it. They use AI and They know how to use it within your organization. I would recommend you include them in that committee. That group can work together to help define and update AI policies, share real world usage patterns, and kind of help you identify opportunities in your organization where AI can improve efficiency without increasing risk.
That's great. Thank you. And for leaders who want to take meaningful actions right away, what are the, say, two most important steps that they can take this week?
The first step is to create a basic AI use policy, even a one-page policy. Don't be perfectionist, please. Just use a one-page AI policy that helps staff understand what AI tools are allowed if, and your IT can block the rest, and what kind of data can and cannot be entered into AI tools. Very important. It's gonna immediately reduce risk because expectations become clear, and it gets much easier for staff to have a direction. Create it and amend it to your employee handbook, and have all of your staff read and sign and make it part of your onboarding. The second thing you can do is to run an AI risk and usage audit. This gives SMBs visibility into which AI tools staff are being actually using today. How often do they use it? What kind of data are they entering into those tools? It's the fastest way to see your true risk profile and begin building responsible governance.
Those are great takeaways. Thank you. But another question that comes to mind is what happens if a business decides to wait or just not take action yet?
Yeah. So this is where the risk really starts to compound. Data continues to flow into unregulated AI tools, often quietly without anyone really realizing it. Over time, compliance gaps are gonna widen. We've seen that. We're seeing more situations where insurance providers start asking harder questions, and in some cases, claims can be denied. And then there is the trust problem, right? When I say trust, I mean customer trust, partner trust, internal leadership trust. Once that trust is impacted, it's very difficult to rebuild. So doing nothing is not neutral. It's still a decision. When you think about it, it's really a decision. And it's one that can have real consequences for the business.
Thank you, Kayvon. So, as we start to wrap up, for SMBs that want to take action after today's session, what would you say are the best next steps they should be thinking about?
Yeah. So we wanted to make this really practical. There are two things we're offering to help small and medium businesses move forward right away. First is our AI risk and usage audit framework. This is essentially a step-by-step checklist that helps you uncover shadow AI, understand where your data might be flowing today, and start building responsible AI governance. It's designed so you can use it internally and walk through it with your IT provider. It includes things like kind of an AI, it has an AI discovery checklist, guidance on DNS and other IT tools, and even questions you can use to access and assess whether your IT provider has the right level of visibility. And then the second option is a free 30-minute AI governance consultation. This is a short, quick chat. We're going to have a conversation where we help you kind of interpret. We're going to help you interpret what you're seeing, answer questions, and talk through what next steps make sense for your organization. Whether you use the framework or you own or hand it to your IT provider, the conversation tends to be very clarifying and going to help you. It's going to help a lot of SMB leaders move forward from uncertainty to a clear plan.
Absolutely. That was very insightful and helpful. Thank you, Kayvon. I also want to thank all of you again for spending part of your morning with us. We know that these topics are important. As a matter of fact, we also hear this question a lot. Why don't you make these sessions longer? The reason is simple. We want to keep these 30 minutes SMB thought leadership sessions true to their promise, short, focused, and respectful of how busy business leaders really are. The good news is, based on interest and attendance, we're planning to offer more and more of these. Right now, we run them every other month, but we will be working on moving towards hosting them on a monthly basis.
Yeah, and because we keep these sessions tight, we don't always have time to answer every question live. If we didn't get to your question today, we still want to hear from you. Please email your questions to hello@trueadvantage.com, and we will respond by end of today or by end of tomorrow max. And don't forget to download the AI risk and usage audit for SMBs and schedule your free 30-minute consultation. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for the work you do as a business leader every day for the communities and for the job creation you do within the community. I want to wish everybody a beautiful Thursday, and we'll see you hopefully in the next mini webinar.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.